Hey there, and welcome to Open Class. Hope you're doing really well today. We're going to go over a couple of questions. Actually, let's jump right into it. Just before we do, as always, nothing is medical advice, just general thoughts and questions that I hope will be helpful to anyone that tunes in. So with that said, let us see what's happening here. We have a first message from Kathryn who says, Coach Daniel, I know that to sleep, I have to not be attached to the outcome, but I believe that sleep is the only way to get the true joy out of life. Nothing is more pleasant than an amazing night's sleep. Without it, I can't experience much joy at all. Believing this, how on earth can I ever not be focused on the outcome? And Kathryn, yes, of course, this is such a dilemma, 100%. It's so clear to see how, like, you can't enjoy life without sleeping. So how can you not want to sleep when everything is, tied into that? And you've almost, in a way, sort of answered your own question, which is just seeing the loop is so helpful, because when you just see with clarity that, okay, it is because I put sleep on sort of a pedestal, we call it, like you put sleep on a pedestal. Everything hinges upon how I sleep. I can't enjoy life if I don't sleep. When you clearly see that, this is the reason that sleep isn't happening, you don't have to do anything further. You have to just being aware of that, you will naturally kind of subconsciously, move towards not attaching as much to it, just by clarity. Awareness is change. Now, so that's, I think, the big one. Awareness is change. Awareness is super, super helpful. But what else? Well, I did this interview actually last week with Trevor, and that I think can be really helpful. He talked a lot about, the whole episode was really about value. That even if you're having a day where, like, things are gloomy, you feel like, maybe you're anxious, maybe you're sad, maybe you're tired, you're exhausted, even in that moment, you may not may not be a joyful moment, but you can live with meaning and purpose. You can look for what brings you value in life, and even in whatever moment you're in, you can see that you can still live your values. And that can change things, because when you can see that no matter what happens, even if I slept very little, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm kind of beating myself up, etc., but I'm still living my values, then that can really change things towards, like, a little bit less attachment. You sleep with a little bit more ease. You become a little bit less attached, etc., etc. So tune into that episode from last week with Trevor Youngquist. I think that can help a lot. And thanks for submitting this question. And do stay in touch. Let us know how things go, Kathryn. Hang in there. All right. Sugam has a question. He writes the phone. I'm having sleep issues since 10 months ago. I don't know what causes my sleep issue. It starts suddenly. My sleep is very light with full of vivid dreams. 9 months ago, my mom took me to the hospital. Doctor said, don't worry, don't use mobile phone and you'll be able to sleep. My blood tests were normal. Only inflammation is high. Doctor didn't give me any medication. Now, when my mom asks me about my sleep, I say I'm fine. I don't give too much pressure. I'm living with my uncle. 1 week ago, I mistakenly scratched my cousin's brother's hand. And now he's also facing the same issue as me. He's just 12. We both sleep on the same bed. After scratching for 2 days, he also gets the same symptoms. Now he's also tossing and turning. He gets hiccup after drinking water and eating. Now we both have low appetite. Main problems with sleep. He's also not telling his parents because of COVID rising everywhere. In Nepal, there's lockdown. Hospitals, they're transferred into COVID hospitals. Every night I cry. I don't know what to do. I'm getting so much suicidal thoughts. What to do every day. I feel like so much torture. The tensions are added. My cousin's brother have the same problem. My anxiety levels at a peak. When I Google this, I find things about Parkinson's, CGD. And this happens after 1 night of bad sleep, which I got suddenly. Now I sleep very little, always dreaming. My weight is gaining. I don't want to live like this anymore. Help me. Sorry for my bad English. I can understand very well here. And, by the way, hi, Neil. I want to say that, nothing here is unusual. And I think the first thing to do is talk to the people around you. I think when you're scared, etc., I know this is kind of conflicting, but you don't, you can tell people that you're scared and they can know about that. But, if they tell you do this to sleep or do that to sleep, you don't have to do that, but you can just tell people so they know. especially when somebody's young, like your cousin there is very young. I think, I think it's very helpful for anyone to tell their parents or whoever's taking care of them. But the overall picture here is like, it's great. Anyone who's concerned about their health, go see their doctor. But I think I can share generally here that insomnia often starts with something that can seem random, like you were concerned about your health, or this concern about the lockdown, or some type of anxiety, and then you sleep very little, and then you become concerned about that, and because you're concerned about that, you sleep a little again, and then it seems like there's really something going on, and you're researching and Google it, and you find things, and you become. This is a very common reason insomnia happens. So I think it's always helpful to educate yourself. Spend some time on this channel, just learn from other people, learn from what you gather here. And when you see that, all this searching on the internet, all this Googling and trying to figure it out is actually causing me anxiety, then you can step away from that and do less of that searching. That brings a lot of peace of mind. And I would say that's kind of my general thoughts here that I hope will help. Neil says, guess who's back in business? Maybe find other things to care about or be engaged in can help to be less attached to sleep. That's the one that I didn't point out to for Kathryn. If you're hearing this, just taking your attention in other directions, sometimes that can help. And this is from Neil. All right, so let us end. But yes, I'm back in business after Memorial Day was yesterday, and I am a little bit behind on open class. I know, but I'm getting there. Asrai says, can I call you? And I always want to take this opportunity when I get this question of saying that I don't do any like one-on-one consultation over the phone or Zoom or anything like that. There's BedTyme, the app on the App Store, and there's the program that's on the website, the from Insomnia Immunity, or the group coaching program. And the reason I don't do like the one-on-one call is that I think it often feels like if I could just if you could just talk to me, I could tell you everything, give you all the insights, and then you'll do really well. And sure, it could feel really good to talk to somebody who understands, but it's never a quick thing. It's a process of learning, and you'll have a new questions, and you feel need to call again, and then so it's much better, I think, to enroll in a program that has a curriculum and a path and like that. I think that's much more helpful. This said, I'm working on finding a way to add like the one-on-one component to the group coaching program. So we'll see. I'll keep you updated on what happens there. Baswat says live, sir, how to sleep when someone has physiological pain like stomachache and back pain? I don't see a way out. And this one, I want to say that there are often circumstances that make sleeping more difficult, like pain, or there may be loud noise, or anxiety, or all kinds of things. But when it comes specifically to pain here, it's if you wake up from pain and you recognize this is just pain keeping me awake here, then as soon as there's less pain, you will sleep with ease again, right? So it's limited. The insomnia you get, it's not even insomnia. The sleep disruption you get from pain is limited as long as you're not fearful of being awake at night. But if you wake up from the pain, you think, oh no, now I'm not going to sleep again, this is going to happen, then it's a different situation, because now you've added that second layer of fear. So I'd say when it comes to pain, see that yes, anyone who has pain will sleep with some disruption. You won't sleep as easy. That's kind of common sense. But if you just educate yourself and see that there's nothing further to fear, then you limit the amount of sleep disruption to the amount of pain, and there's no further like insomnia or anything like that. So, and I think that really helps. And by the way, pain can often be approached the same way. That when this is super, super general, but when you go into like, I have this pain, why do I have the pain? I have to figure it out, I have to do this and this and that. Then oftentimes the pain experience can be actually strengthened. That's just, so oftentimes the same approach for insomnia can help with pain, fatigue, all kinds of things. Steven says, hi, Dan, I love your opinion on giving the mind another problem to solve in order to take the focus off sleep. I've been learning guitar, and it really helps. I love it. And I think in this today's episode, it was really Neil who's thought of that. But yes, it's sort of like the brain says problem-solving machine, right? So you give it another problem, like learning to play guitar or banjo, is my standard thing to go to. Then you just give it something else to work with, which is much more pleasant to work with. So Stephen, thanks for that one. Ellie says, what are some ways to recover from speed bumps? I think check out any new video, and there's actually in the last, if you check out any of the more recent videos, there's actually a new playlist on speed bumps. But I think the most helpful thing when it comes to like recovering, as in like you feel really sore, you're tired, you're exhausted, you're anxious, is self-kindness. Is to say that this speed bump came from me not wanting to have a speed bump, not wanting to be awake at night, and I can't control that, so I shouldn't be hard on myself for it. Just allow yourself to feel that, be kind to yourself, maybe do something extra special for yourself. You know, give yourself that ice cream that you always want, but you don't give yourself, right? Make it a real kindness. Real kindness to yourself really helps when you've had a rough night. All right. Karen shares the following. Hello, this is Karen. I last spoke with you in October 2020 about my sleep issues. I had gone through months of horrible anxiety, insomnia, only getting 30 minutes to an hour sleep per night, in addition to having POTS. I think that's postural hypertension. I can't remember exactly. Because of that, I was mildly addicted to Xanax as well. It's been a year since my life fell apart. I want you to know that I'm doing very well. I still have POTS symptoms, but the anxiety is virtually non-existent. I've been taking Paxil. I've developed a routine of daily meditation, deep breathing, liquid melatonin, just for muscle twitches, not sleep, and herbal tea. Aside from the normal, very occasional trouble falling asleep, I'm sleeping very well, and I feel better than I have in a decade. I've also been passing on what you taught me to others having issues with sleep. I just wanted to tell you that. Thanks so much for all your help. You helped save my life. It's amazing, Karen. Thanks so much for sharing this. Really, really, really means a lot. And, you know, especially this part about like passing out what you taught to others. And, you know, we can hear that Karen is taking some melatonin, but not for sleep. And there's kind of overall just like less efforts. She's not trying to sleep, and it's wonderful. I want to thank you so much for sharing this. Sarah says, hi Daniel, thank you so much for all the content you so generously provide on your channel anytime. I've been struggling with insomnia for most of my life, and I found it extremely helpful. That's super, super nice to hear this. Your kind understanding, it goes on. Okay, there's more. Your kind understanding attitude is balm for an insomniac frayed nerves anytime again. My question is, what scares me is not so much being awake at night, but what the next day will bring. I'm a writer, and it is extremely difficult for me to work when I'm tired. The thought of having a day when I can't work, especially if I have a deadline looming, is enough to keep me awake. I try to tell myself that it won't be as bad as I think, looking for evidence of days when I was able to work even on less sleep, but I feel in a way that I'm BSing myself, because the reality is that it is very hard. Any thoughts on how I can get past this and be more willing not to sleep? Thanks so much again for all your work. Anytime. And, you know, I think if you start with the one where you said, I've been trying to tell myself that it'll be fine, that even if I don't sleep much, I'll be okay. But I feel like I'm BSing myself. That's really important. You know, the thing you're doing there is sort of like challenging the idea that tomorrow will be a terrible day. And oftentimes that's really helpful. Oftentimes you can go back in your memory and say like, oh, that time I didn't sleep much at all, and I still wrote a great whatever you're writing, right? And that can really take the pressure off of sleep. But that challenging the brain, challenging the ideas can also kind of backfire. Like your brain's kind of like, no, that's not true. You don't really believe it yourself, and you're sort of trying to convince your brain that you'll be fine the next day, even if you don't sleep. And the brain doesn't really believe it, and then you have this friction, and you know, friction is never helpful. So paradoxically, what can actually help is almost like going in the opposite direction and saying that, okay, I will probably not feel so great tomorrow, but I'm sort of willing to do that. I'm willing to have this day when I don't feel well. I'm willing to have a day where I'm not very productive. I'm willing to have a day where my writing is off, you know, because ultimately what keeps the fear going is this kind of like the avoidance, you know, when you're trying really hard to avoid a day, when you're tired, exhausted, you're not productive, when you're trying to avoid that really hard by, for example, convincing yourself that it's not going to be that bad, when you try to avoid that, that builds a lot of pressure. So this is really hard. It's not easy to do this, but sometimes it is the way. Like when I kind of summarize it as when you're willing to experience X, then that removes the fear of X. And X in this case is like having that day after not sleeping much, right? So if you can go there in your mind and like, okay, I'm going to imagine that day after I didn't sleep much, where I'm not productive, I can't get any working done. Just being willing to imagine that is like a step away from avoidance. That takes away a lot of pressure. That really helps. Self-kindness always really helps. When you have that day, then know that when you're struggling with sleep, and you are hard on yourself, you're kind of like, why did I do that? It kind of doesn't make sense, because no human being can control their sleep. So when you don't sleep and you're like, why couldn't I make this happen? Why couldn't I do this? I've learned so much. It's like you're hard on yourself for not being able to do something, quote unquote, being able to do something that nobody can. So just seeing that there's no reason to be hard on myself for not sleeping, that also takes a lot of pressure off, because the frustration comes from like, why couldn't I do it? I've tried, right? And when you see like, there's nothing I can do actually, and then you take a real big step away from kind of self-criticism, self-judgment, and those type of things that really keep you in a place of struggling. So I think those are the most important ones. Thanks so much for all the kind words there. And I think that was it. Yeah, I think those were the important ones. So yeah, I want to conclude here. Tomorrow we have a guest, which is going to be Ali, who's going to guest open class. She's going to share some insights, and then we're going to answer some more questions. And then we have somebody with a nice success story on Thursday, and then we'll go from there. So much more to come. Thanks so much for tuning in, and hope to see you back real soon. Bye now.